So last year's Acer Swift X was kind of popular. For $1,000 to $1,100 US, you got a Ryzen 7 5800U paired with an RTX 3050 Ti. And the beauty about it, it was all encased in a light and portable form factor. You could do general productivity, but you had that dedicated GPU in case you wanted to do more. It wasn't perfect. You know, a lot of people didn't like the fact that it was using a 16:9 aspect ratio, especially in 2021, where a lot of laptop manufacturers were switching to 16:10. Now, it looks like Acer answered to some of those requests, maybe not all of them, but some of the updates they've made to this are better. But I can't show you benchmarks. These are pre-production units. I'm only allowed to offer my first impressions and opinion on these devices. Now, they do come in a variety of different colors. They're still made out of a aluminum alloy. They are very squishy on the top, at least with the 14, but I'll reserve my final judgment for an actual retail unit. It's light. This is just over 3 pounds, and the Acer Swift X 16 is just under 4 pounds. The port lineup on both of these devices are identical. So I'm just going to show you on the 14 because it's the same on the 16. Now, if you don't remember, last year's version didn't have Thunderbolt ports because it was using an AMD processor, and they got rid of the barrel connector in order to charge the laptop. So instead of having a barrel connector and a Type-C port, you now get 2 Thunderbolt 4 ports. This is better because you can hook up an actual device or you can just use this port to charge the laptop. It still has the same HDMI port, USB-A, and then on the right-hand side you have a Noble Lock, another USB-A port, and then an audio jack. Now, I will say this, opening up the Acer Swift X 16 is significantly easier. You can do it with one hand just because there's more weight on the deck. With the 14, you definitely have to use 2 hands to open it up. The hinge on this is just super stiff. There's not a lot of screen wobble, which is good. I don't like crazy amounts of screen wobble, which I've seen on other laptops. And you have a very similar keyboard experience. The travel distance on both of these guys are fairly identical. There's definitely a little bit of keyboard flex. I would say it's a tiny bit more tactile on the 16-inch model, but the benefit of going with the bigger laptop is the fact that you get a full-size numeric keypad. The touchpad is also much bigger on the 16-inch version, so that's something to keep in mind. I don't think this one is way too small, but it's definitely a bit too small for a 14-inch form factor. Now, you don't get Windows Hello facial recognition, but they did upgrade the camera on both of these laptops to Full HD, so it should look a bit better than the previous 720p cameras they used before. But you do have a fingerprint scanner embedded into the power button if you quickly want to log in without having to type a password. So this is how far back the displays can go, and unlike last year, you actually get a 16:10 aspect ratio. They also improved the pixel density, so it's no longer Full HD, but on the Swift X14, you get 2240 by 1400, which is technically not QHD, but it's much better than Full HD+. The Swift X16 is even better. You have a 2560 by 1600 resolution on a 16-inch panel. Both displays are 60 Hz, but the 16-inch model gets up to 400 nits compared to 300 on the 14. Now, performance is going to be super interesting on these laptops. They no longer come with a Ryzen processor. The Ryzen processor from last year was 15 watts. These are both using a P-series processor from Intel. These units on this table are using an i7-1260P, which has 4 performance cores and 8 efficiency cores. If you go for the Swift X, it comes with an RTX 3050 Ti, but if you go for the Swift X16, it uses Intel's Arc GPU. I don't know how this GPU is going to run, okay? I'm hearing rumors of an RTX 3050. I see some sites saying an RTX 3070 Ti. I mean, these both do come with the same amount of storage, Gen 4 storage, but the price point is interesting. Like this 14-inch version with similar specs costs $1299, and the 16-inch version costs $1250, cheaper. Is that because Intel is providing the GPU so it can package the deal a bit better? Or do you have to pay more to use that NVIDIA GPU, so the price has to be $50 higher? Now, the internals are a bit different on both of these laptops. If you go for the 14-inch model, you only get 1 fan with 2 copper heat pipes. The 16-inch version has 2 fans with thicker copper heat pipes. And this has me kind of concerned, right? They're not using a 15-watt CPU anymore. They're up to 28 watts now, and they're still only using one fan to keep it cool. So I'm very curious how thermals are going to be. Both laptops have a swappable Wi-Fi 6E card. They both have two 2-watt speakers on the bottom. They both have 2 slots for drives. The previous Swift X only had 1. So you can populate one drive with Gen 4 and the other one can be Gen 3. You can't have 2 Gen 4s, there's just not enough lanes. RAM is soldered onto the motherboard, so whatever configuration you go for, you will not be able to upgrade the RAM after that. Now, one thing that's quite peculiar is the battery size, okay? Like, you would think the bigger battery would be in the 16-inch model, but there's only a 56 watt-hour battery inside of here compared to 58. So this tells me a couple of things. Either they didn't have the space to put it in here, which I doubt, or that the RTX 3050 Ti requires more power than the Intel Arc GPU that's inside of the 16-inch version. So here's what I think. I don't know if going to an Intel CPU was the right choice. We'll have to wait for benchmarks and battery life to see if it was the right decision. And I do like the fact that Acer changed some of the things that people were requesting. The only thing I do not like about these laptops is the price point. What made the Acer Swift X so special, at least the 14-inch model in 2021, was the $1,000 to $1,100 price point. This is now going to cost you $1,300 for the same GPU and possibly a very comparable CPU. And that puts this laptop in a category with a lot more competition. Now, these laptops will be available in June, so we still have some time to wait. And I promise you I will be reviewing them, so if you have any questions for my full review, make sure to drop them in the comment section down below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.